Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari. Gopijana Vallabha Givaradari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Munatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Gunjabihari Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Nitya Gaur Haripo, Haripo. Nitya Gaur Haripo. Haribo. Jayam Vishpad Paramahamsa Prabhupada Shriman, His Divine Grace Lacy Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishpad Paramahamsa Prabhupada Shriman, His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Prem Sakoshi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Harinamacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Padayatra India Ki Jai, ISKCON is Dwarka, Rohini, right? What? Rukmini Dwarkadish Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. And all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to His Divine Grace Sri A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And maybe we can realize it as the International Society for International Family for Krishna Consciousness. Prabhupada's family. Krishna Kavachas. Oh, here we are. Here we are. Following the footsteps of Shukadev Goswami and the sages all hearing Bhagavatam at Shrukutal on the bank of the Ganga. Maharaj Parikshit fasting 7 days, consciously aware of how he's leaving his body. 7 days. I was just with Kadamba Kanana Maharaj in Vrindavan. He's also been given his notice. Maybe between 2 and 6 months. He'll be present with us physically. So this is the great legacy that we've been given. Inconceivable mercy. Our Lord Chaitanya, our Mahaprabhu has appeared in a special In this day of Brahma, this very special Kali Yuga, only once in a day of Brahma, 1,000 kalpas, does Mahaprabhu appear. As Krishna appears, after Krishna appears, and Mahaprabhu appears to reveal Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead to the masses through the grace of the holy name, chanting the holy name, Harinam, Harinam, Harinam eva kevalam, Kalo nastyeva, nastyeva, nastyeva gatiranyata. In this age of Kali, this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, there's no other way than to chant the holy name, chant the holy name, chant the holy name of the Lord. That's the conclusion of all the scriptures is here, Bhagavatam. And the essence of the Bhagavatam is Prabhupada's Krishna book. Prabhupada's put the whole essence of the 9 cantos, the philosophy of the Bhagavatam, together with the 10th canto, so we can read it from the beginning of our spiritual life. At least after having read Bhagavad Gita once or twice to understand Krishna, some general idea how Krishna's Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then we can begin to read Krishna book right from the beginning. Special, special mercy. Srila Prabhupada. I've read it 84 times, Krishna book. Actually, it turns out to be 84 kos, the number of kilometers around Vrindavan. It's not so difficult. If you just read a few pages every day, you can finish twice. You can read Krishna book. In addition to other reading, like I read Bhagavatam as my main, I've read Bhagavatam daily. 14 pages was my quota. In addition, then that was my like sabji, rice, dal, my basic prep for strength. We need physical strength that we can get through prasadam, but the spiritual strength required to execute the path of bhakti, combined with chanting our 16 rounds minimum, attentively, reading daily, Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya, we must regularly hear the Bhagavatam. And a minimum of 14 pages in addition to other literatures like the Lilamrita, which I added as a support and strengthen the book Bhagavat combined with the person Bhagavat, with his Lilamrita. And Prabhupada, after going through that several times, then to go through all these great biographical works by so many different disciples who were actually serving Prabhupada directly. So much available. Prabhupada's more available than when he was physically present. He's so much more available than when I joined. So much access to hear about Prabhupada and videos. And so if we actually take advantage daily of the great facility, the inconceivable facility that's been given, then we can continue to execute the razor's edge of the Bhakti Marg, to stay guided, superior guidance instead of by our mind and senses, taking shelter of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. We can also cross over this ocean of material existence, of birth and death, and take full shelter, taking of the rehabilitation course of the greatest doctor that's ever appeared in the universe. Prabhupada representing all the acharyas, including Krishna, Brahma, Narad Muni, and all the great personalities in the Bhagavatam and the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Through him you can access the Goswamis, Bhaktisiddhanta. Only one person lives with the hippies, with drug addicts in New York, Narek, leaves Bharat, and goes across the ocean with 2 heart attacks. And how Krishna appears in a dream, you will arrive safely after the cargo ship, and vomiting. I couldn't spend 5 minutes on a ship like that. And how Prabhupada crossed the ocean. Krishna took charge of the ship. The ocean became like glass. And he arrived in Boston Harbor, writing the poem, "Make me dance, make me dance, make me dance as you like. I'm just a puppet in your hands. Only by your inconceivable mercy is this possible, to speak the Bhagavatam, by which the hearts can get purified and people can take full shelter of the holy name and the Bhagavatam." Oh, here we are. After 47 years. The first day I entered the temple, I met the devotees in Holland. After having attempted to walk to the Arctic Circle from England. Like Radhanath, he went west, he went east. I wasn't ready. He was much more connected than I was. I went north, singing songs like "My Sweet Lord." I really want to know you, my sweet Lord. Really want to go with you. In a world full of corruption. Divorce became legal. Killing babies became legal. The raping of Mother Earth with all the industrial complexes that all of you are going to going to the job to support. The raping of Mother Earth and the complete degradation of the human race. With all these big money people who are manipulating the governments and the educational systems. Completely godless civilization that we're sending our children to and that we're working for. Living off the suffering of others. A society that's killing the animals, the cows, the babies, and we're very dedicated to getting our money, going to the job. What's your qualification? How expertly you're at facilitating all of this? Instead of reestablishing the Varnashram system, the Brahminical culture, which is actually Prabhupada's instruction, given on every page of this Bhagavatam. While we go on hearing Bhagavatam and continuing to act like a rascal, just like a robot. There's a difference between hearing Bhagavatam and listening. Can anybody say the difference between listening and hearing? What's the difference between listening and hearing? Anyone? Mataji? Anybody? What's the difference between listening and hearing? What? You're prepared to act. that you accept what's being spoken. You've understood it, and you're prepared to act. That's why Krishna says, if you have not properly understood, I'm prepared to repeat everything. And Arjuna said, yes, I've heard attentively, and I'm prepared to act. And then he said, he picked up his Gandiva bow, and then he proceeded to kill Bhishma, Dronacharya, cross over all the sharks and the Timagila fish in the ocean of the Kaurava army, like Shivaji Maharaj did under the guidance of Tukaram and the instruction of Ramdas Swami. Shivaji Maharaj, just 400 years ago, enlisting the Pune hill fighters, completely checking Aurangzeb's atrocious atrocities and breaking the back of the whole Muslim empire. And how much more degraded is the present situation. How much more they are at manipulating, even in Bharat, Punya Bhumi, how people have been almost completely brainwashed to follow them blindly, even the devotees who are sitting in the temple right now. And how we're supporting it, we're promoting it. Prabhupada predicted we have 50 years to get our act together, to promote a facility, because there's going to be a major crisis coming. And that 50 years is like next year or next. If there's an oil breakdown due to economic collapse or nuclear war, everybody's talking about it, but we're like rabbits or an ostrich who shuts his eyes when a tiger is attacking, and then we just go on like normal. It's a wake-up call right now to establish Varnashram, Gurukul, and farm communities with cow protection, and not just with a concentration camp where they're all with pastures where they can run like it was 100 years ago before all this industrialization. To get back to the earth, Mother Bhumi, to love Mother Earth, protect her, like Parikshit and Shivaji Maharaj, under the instruction of Shukadev Goswami. And time is now. Either we do it voluntarily or we'll be starving. If there's you can bet that Delhi is on the hit list of these nuclear bombs. And if they start pressing buttons, all these big developments are going to be like in Ukraine, worse than Ukraine. With one nuclear bomb, just takes one. And you may not even be in your bodies. And those who are left living, where are they going to get water? Where are they going to get food? You better use your intelligence that you're using for working for these demons. Get our act together now and organize. Get some land where there's some water supply. Because you won't get it. You won't be able to get it piped in without oil and gas. And now there's sanctions, they're cutting it down in Europe. They're going to be freezing to death, some of the people. We can smile right now, but you won't be smiling. If this actually, I don't know what's happening, but probably it's somehow or other, Mother Earth is not the karmic reaction for all the stuff that you're promoting and supporting. By working 99% of our energy, we're going out distributing books. But what are we doing to maintain our family? Time to get back to Mother Earth, back to basics, back to the roots, where we're nourished by our mother. And we'll become strong and healthy with the fresh milk from Mother Cow, like Krishna is milking. To want to live like Krishna, become inspired to live like Krishna and Balaram with the plow and the cows. Who's prepared? I remember at a Vyas Puja in Tirupati that Bhakti Vikash Maharaj gave his Vyas Puja address. And he was appealing to his disciples. If one of them, if any of them, could take up the Varnashram, appealing to his disciples, if one of them could take it up, and actually some of them have, and there are communities, I've seen it, I've been there in Gujarat, and it's happening in Tamil Nadu. Time to get real, you know. Stop playing games with Krishna. You can try to cheat ourselves, but you can't cheat Krishna. He knows. He knows every soul of every living being. He knows the heart. He knows our real intention, our real commitment, our real motivation. And He deals with us accordingly. Everyone, every day. That's God, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who's manifested here in Vrindavan with His flute and the cows and with Balaram, with the plow, to show us how to live in this Kali Yuga. As that people were living in Treta Yuga and Satya Yuga, especially not in Satya Yuga. In Satya Yuga, they were meditating for 60,000 years. Living for it. They didn't. They just lived in the forest. Meditating on Lord Krishna in the heart as Paramatma. Like Dhruva Maharaj. We can't do that now. Now we're given such a simple process, chanting 16 rounds, minimum. Reducing it from 64. And reading the Bhagavatam and hearing the Shastras and getting the spiritual strength and intelligence to execute the mission of Mahaprabhu with wholehearted commitment. It takes wholehearted commitment to win the battle of the mind, which was where the battle Kurukshetra actually takes place for each one of us. Whether we're going to keep Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra driving our chariot, Krishna and Arjuna. Yachar Yogeshvara Krishna Yachar Parto Donurdara Tachar Shir Vijyo Bhutir Druvanitir Matir Mama. Wherever there's Krishna, the supreme mystic, and Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. So how are we going to turn the Narak of Heli Delhi from Narak Lok to Vaikuntha Lok? How are we going to do that? If we go on like robots as we are, as we have since Prabhupada's disappearance. Just go on continuing to chew the chewed and go on like a robot. We won't be able to do it much longer. Billions of people could get wiped out just like that. Starvings. What are we going to do with our children then? And our wives and our families? What are we going to do? When are we going to wake up and implement the instructions, the second half of Prabhupada's mission, so we can have a healthy environment for which we raise our children, with the animals, with the cows, to learn to actually love the cows, instead of supporting a society that's killing millions and billions every day, and thinking I'm very respectable with my software engineering degree. Very respectable, with my flat and these developments. Concrete jungles of rats and cockroaches. Instead of the peacocks and the parrots and the deer that we read about in Krishna book. A healthy, loving environment to live in, with godly society, a godly community of Vaishnavas. When are you going to organize Vaishnav communities? As Prabhupada says, the solution for all the problems of our families, of the world, is right here in the Bhagavatam. When are we going to start hearing instead of just, even when we come and we just listen, and it goes in one ear and out the other? We just continue like robots before we... Yes! When you take the order of the spiritual master as your life and soul, that's hearing, like Arjuna. When he took shelter, Shishasteham Sharimam from Paparam, Karpanya Doshapatasva Bhava, Pichami Tvam Dharma Samudacheta, Yat Shreyasyan Nistitam Bhuitan Me. What's the last line? When are we going to hear this and follow in the footsteps of Arjuna? We're listening every day, but when are we going to start hearing? One of us, at least somebody, to be a moon. Prabhupada established so many moons have taken up. Gopal Krishna Maharaj, so many. Lokanath, Kadamba Kanana Maharaj, a grand disciple. I take shelter of him as a senior god brother. He's so fixed in Prabhupada, so absorbed. It's a choice each one of us has to make for a commitment to his own life. The commitment we make, that's the commitment we can make to anyone else, is the commitment we make to ourselves. That's all we really have, is our soul. And then we can approach Krishna. If we don't commit ourselves to our own life, we can't commit ourselves to anyone. It begins here. The buck stops here. You can't blame anybody else. We only can blame ourselves. Because we don't really care for our life. We don't really take it seriously. The mess that we got ourselves into, such a diseased condition. And now we've gotten the greatest doctor in the universe to come and give us this process, completely adjusting it to fit our capacity to be able to do it and execute it and achieve our perfection. In this lifetime, every day, taking the treatment and continuing to execute it every day with 16 rounds, hearing the Bhagavatam, and going out in devotional service. whatever ashram, whether we're executing it like Arjuna or Hanuman, a brahmachari. The same quality, the same commitment. Shivaji Maharaj showed that quality, and those who were his real followers, even continuing to fight when their head is cut off, isn't it? Until they heard the conch, and then Shivaji was able to. This kind of commitment. It's a choice. We're materially fatigued. Yes, I've had enough of being a demon in the name of a devotee, a sense gratifier, karmakanda bhakti. For my enjoyment. I have nice prasadam, I'm chanting my rounds, I do some nice service, I can quote some verses. People like me. So many nice devotee friends. But when are we going to take up the real mission as a Sankirtan soldier? Like Draupadi, like Jijabai, Shivaji's mother, like Kunti. There's examples like we hear in the pages of, like, we're listening, but when we're going to hear and act, and then we get reciprocation from Krishna accordingly. He tamam papajante tam saiva vidamiham mamavat manavartante manusha partasosha. As they surrender to me, I reward them accordingly. All of them follow my path in all respects. Real surrender is the only way you can get out of here. Otherwise, you'll come back and get another birth, another chance, like we're all doing now. We've all been doing this many, many lifetimes, playing the game. Show bottle devotee, Palgu bhakti. In the name of bhakti, thinking I'm very respectable, I'm very nice. Sattva gun. This is sattva gun bhakti. Oh, I'm happy. I know some shastra. And you come back as a demigod or some nice family. We get another chance. How many times? How many times? How many times? How many times are we going to get real? Are we going to become? Well, because you set it up so it's so easy. If you just look, you just see the degradation around you and how mad and how much people are suffering. And now in Ukraine, right now, devotees can't even have to go out, have to have a fire to heat up the water so they can purify the water to get drinking water. They have no money for food. Their homes are bombed. Thousands of devotees are refugees. Right now, while we're sitting here very comfortably in our flat, how long is this going to be allowed to go on? It can go away right like that. Better to understand by hearing. That's first class. When are we going to hear and become real disciples? Real. Get real about our life. Every day serious. When you have cancer, we have a very serious disease. And heavy treatment. But unless you take the treatment, it won't go away. It'll continue to get worse. And we'll go on chewing the chew and come back again and again and again and again. Can go on for hundreds and thousands of lifetimes. We can come back with this mood, this enjoying spirit in the name of religion, in the name of Krishna consciousness. I see it. It's always good. 99% of devotees are generally going to be Krishna. That's the way it is. It's going to take a few committed persons and those who are together with them to really be the core of ISKCON. And the real parampara, hearing and speaking same and acting. That's the core of ISKCON. And Prabhupada said, if everyone else goes away, a real disciple is one who sticks with it. And we see Prabhupada is that one person who did. And now there's so many disciples of him who have formed the GBC. And how somehow things are going on, despite all the fall downs of those who weren't able to continue. But there's a core, like Giriraj Swami and Radha, so many who are and becoming the boiling of the milk, or those who really apply the process. It gets thick. I know personally, I've gone through so many heavy struggles. To follow in their footsteps, to try to become like them as a younger brother, to grow up so I can move at their feet with them with full strength and commitment. Just to stay alive as a brahmachari without falling down or going completely mad and be put in a mental institution. That's the kind of struggle, close to suicide most of my life. To stay under the shelter of Prabhupada and continue in Sankirtan. So much affected by pride and offenses, to try to minimize my offenses to my godbrothers and to other devotees. It's not such a, it hasn't been such a, but here now, after almost 50 years, 47 years, still standing. I'm not able to dance these days with bodies. But I'm beginning to experience some change in my heart, my consciousness, my Krishna consciousness. This process works, but we have to get purified. We have to go through all the stages of purification. Continue to face the music. Take the treatment. So many layers of contamination. And we have to continue to get purified. Cheto Darpana Marjanam. Go deeper and deeper, deeper and deeper. So many different attachments. And to be internal and to stay guided by Bhagavatam and then with the Bhagavatam as our main strength, combined with the holy name, we'll stay protected. We'll stay protected and guided, and we'll be able to cross over all the obstacles of conditioned life by Krishna's grace. Machita savadurgani matprasada charishasi atachetva mahankara nirshosasi vinangshasi. If you become conscious of me, you'll cross over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you'll be lost. Like one devotee was crying on the phone, called me yesterday. He left the temple. He's been living with his parents. And actually the authorities told him to do that. And now he's without association. He's very weak condition. I encouraged him to come to the East of Kailash temple, but he broke down and cried on the phone yesterday. I told him, come. Here's the family that Gopal Krishna has manifested in the temple. Come, take shelter. And he cried and he hung up the phone. without being association. Boy, it's very difficult. His authorities told him he should do that. And he's suffering like anything. But he's become so weak. He hung up the phone. Last December, he was with a party before he joined the temple in Kanpur. I was in UP Padayatra, and he was on the party for a month for the marathon. And he was fired up and really enthusiastic and happy. And I even had an injury on my leg, that some old broken toilet in a place we were in some wedding hall. It wasn't hooked up, and it broke. and I was standing. My leg was full of blood, and I went and got stitches. And for a week, the devotees were carrying me so I could go to the restroom. I couldn't. I had an injection at the clinic, and they gave me stitches. That was a year ago. And he was carrying me in his arms, along with other devotees. For a week, I couldn't. I had to be carried in the arms of the devotees. But I still was able to stay with the party. And he was so happy and enthusiastic. And then he joined the temple. But honestly, because the focus is, some people can become grihastas and focus on money, IIT kind of stuff. But not everybody, like me. I can live, I can continue. I've been in all kinds of situations. That's why we see, like in Pune, some devotees take shelter of Lokanath Swami and the village mood, and some take shelter of the Western system. Isn't it? So, and they combined with Radhe Shyam, he's able to facilitate all of Maharashtra, and together they're really strong. So, anyway, we all have to, Krishna gives each of us tests and situations. Each one of us, actually, Krishna is behind whatever's happening in each of our lives, for us to become more attached to Him. We have to pass certain kind of tests. We're all going to have to pass so many tests where we're ready to take shelter of our attachments and our mind and senses and our false ego, or whether they're going to surrender to Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Each one of us, to the time of our last breath. And then how we are ready to pass the final exam, that will be tested. Just like Kadambakana Maharaj, how we can see how he's so amazing and prepared. He's already there. You see him walking around, preaching, and Gopal Krishna Maharaj, how his body, taking the reactions of thousands of disciples who fall down, how he's moving and still leading the battlefield, and leading. And this is so inspiring for me. So I can continue my own journey, to make this my final journey home. At least to do everything I can on my side, and how Krishna makes up the difference, and so many wonderful arrangements, and sitting here before you, with you. Kesat, I'm learning Hindi. And then apply for a passport so I don't have to leave. My service here in the West is, Lokanath Swami's confirmed it. Learn Hindi and apply for a passport. Continue on Padayatra. So, I don't know, it's 9 o'clock. Pretty nice purports. Actually, I'm not, the actual text was text 12. But I went back to text 6 and 7. Especially in regard to the marathon, I thought this was a lot more directly appropriate. So I'm just going to read it, and we can end the class. All right? I mean, I've been given notice several times. I've been so... Before the lockdown, I practically had no digestive power at all. Practically, it was just like drinking soup just to keep my body, my soul in the body. And I got some Ayurvedic treatment in Pandharpur. And after 4 months, one devotee stayed back from the party and was preparing my soup and medicines. After 4 months, I was able to get back on my feet. I was just bones. I thought I was leaving my body. And Lokanath Maharaj told Acharya, it's not his time. He's got more service to do. It's not his time. I got more purification, more preparation that Krishna's given me. Time to prepare. So anyway. So I'm going to go, this just text 6 and 7. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jishyame Bhagavan, I'm just going to read. Jishyame Bhagavan Jishto Durdarshoyo Kritatmanam Jishya Padaraja Spishtam Sishna Me Bhavata Shivam. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. It is my good fortune that I've been able to see you, for you cannot easily be seen by persons who have not subdued the mind or controlled the senses. I am all the more fortunate to have touched with my head the blessed dust of your feet. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The perfection of transcendental life can be achieved simply by touching the holy dust at the lotus feet of a holy man. In the Bhagavatam it is said, Mahatpada Rajo Bhishekam, which means to be blessed by the holy dust of the lotus feet of a Mahat, a great devotee. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Mahatmanas 2, the verse, Mahatmanas Tamam, what is it? What, Mahatmanas Tamam, Impakaji Mashitab, what? Yes. Undiluted, the Mahatmas, the great souls, or yogis in devotion, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible, under the protection of the divine nature. That's Radharani, Prabhupada in one class on that verse. Daivi Shakti, that's Radharani. So, those who are great souls under the spell of material who are great souls under the spell of spiritual energy, and their symptom is that they fully engage in Krishna consciousness for the service of the Lord. Therefore, they are called Mahat. Unless one is fortunate enough to have the dust of the lotus feet of a Mahatma on one's head, there is no possibility of perfection in spiritual life. And that dust means hearing, acting. That's how we keep the dust on our head. It's not just show bottle. That you're a Dandavat devotee and you touch the feet. Touching the feet is hearing attentively and acting. That is the dust. The Prabhupada system of disciplic succession is very important as a means of spiritual success. One becomes a Mahat by the grace of his Mahat spiritual master. If one takes shelter of the lotus feet of a great soul, there is every possibility of one's also becoming a great soul. Maharaj Rahugana asked Jad Bharat about his wonderful achievement of spiritual success. He replied to the king that spiritual success is not possible simply by following the rituals of religion. And that means even chanting our rounds, not just as a ritual, or simply by converting oneself into a sannyasi, or offering sacrifices as recommended in the scriptures. These methods are undoubtedly helpful for spiritual realization, but the real effect is brought about by the grace of a Mahatma. The blessing comes with hearing and accepting the order and acting. That's everybody says, oh, can you give me blessing? This is the blessing. Hearing and then acting. That's when Krishna drives the chariot. When Arjuna picks up the bow, and then Krishna agrees, Krishna to drive the chariot, Paramatma, in our body, in our chariot. And we're doing our Sankirtan distribution and prasadam in the holy name. We're doing our service on the Sankirtan army of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then we experience that reciprocation, and our faith continues to develop as we surrender in the Sankirtan army, in the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as has been so wonderfully given to us by Srila Prabhupada, and those who are hooked up with him at their feet together, all for one and one for all, right? With Krishna driving our chariot. Together we have victory. Sadajivan Ucha Vichar. Very nice. Really nice. In Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's 8 stanzas of prayer to the spiritual master, it is clearly stated that simply by satisfying the spiritual master, one can achieve the supreme success in life And in spite of executing all ritualistic performances, if one cannot satisfy the spiritual master, one has no access to spiritual perfection. I remember Rameshwara Maharaj was given the order to publish the Chaitanya Charitamrita in 2 months. And Prabhupada said, if you don't do this, your spiritual life is finished. And he was empowered. He did it. He took wholehearted faith in the order, and he organized it, and devotees all took that order as their life and soul, and day and night they were painting everything. They did it, and the books were published. It's in some Guinness Book of Records or some world history in printing history. And that's how this whole movement was established. Although most of the devotees were, because they didn't take daily shelter of the books, most of the devotees fell down. In my generation. You're coming from that generation. And now you're given another chance to continue to make progress and finish it up like we're here and here. To make this last, the epic quest to approach the Lord face to face. Just a simple soul. To finish our business this time around. Atma means body, soul, or mind. And Akritatma means the common man who cannot control the senses or the mind. Like right now, he's also a disciple, he's initiated, that devotee. Temporarily suffering without the association of devotees. He still has my number. Because the common man is unable to control the senses and the mind, it is his duty to seek the shelter of a great soul or a great devotee of the Lord and just try to please him. That will make his life perfect. A common man cannot rise to the topmost stage of spiritual perfection simply by following the rituals and religious principles, like a robot, mechanically. Sarvaraman prajaja mamikam sharanam vajaham tvam sarvapapibhyo mokshami masucha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender to me alone. I will protect you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear. I know. Only by day to day, how crossing over all the both within the movement, within my mind, externally and internally. Like a child, helpless, crying to Krishna. Hey Govinda! Hey Govinda! Hey Govinda! Like Draupadi. Then Krishna comes. You ready? Now? Hey Govinda! Hey Govinda! Hey Govinda! Hey Govinda! You didn't do it. You won't get that. You won't. Krishna won't come. It's an individual. Every individual. It's that simple, and because of our false ego, that difficult. We just got to say no to Maya and say yes to Krishna and Guru. Guru and Krishna. And we'll cross over everything. I'm proof. I got nobody else. I can't live like this. My father ended up with a gun in his head. Big money. Big construction company. He built it up. I can't live like that. My sister hanging. Very nice. I had all the stuff that you people are working for. To get back to Mother Nature, where people can live with the animals and with the earth. That's how I ended up on Padayatra. Krishna gradually trained me up, and I got purified so I could, after 40 years, or maybe 35 years, I was able to begin my Padayatra after years of Sankirtan in a vehicle in America, getting purified. So I could live on Padayatra in India. After doing Padayatra in America in 1989, 1990, down the West Coast, from Frisco to Tijuana, Guadalajara, Mexico City, and down the East Coast, from Boston down. I didn't make it all the way to Miami. I couldn't physically continue. And people have looked at devotees, looked at my hand. You were on Padayatra, you were going through that? Adhyatmic, the mind, manic depressive. Struggling with that kind of reactions from my past nonsense, previous lifetimes. Been born in a nightmare where nobody guide me, care for me, to give me God's way. And how I had to really, and what it took for me to find these books, going by walk from England to Norway, by walk, chanting songs like My Sweet Lord. I really want to know you. I thank George in the temple room in Vrindavan. Before he died of cancer, he was there. And I embraced him and thanked him for being my first connection to Krishna, to encourage me on my journey. We embraced. It's even in a biography called Here Comes the Sun about George. That meeting with him is in the book. He got my age wrong when he repeated what happened to Mukunda Maharaj. And somehow Mukunda Maharaj got it into the book with Yogeshwar. So, simple living, high thinking. Prabhupada's come to save me. I got nobody but Prabhupada. And because of him, I have you, I have Krishna, I have Gopal Krishna Maharaj as my spiritual family. I went to see my brother a few years ago, and he thought I went to get my father's money after he shot himself. He thought I was there to get a lawyer and get some money. It was the most cruel experience. After money became an issue, Krishna really teaching me, where he completely, I had the family, they want nothing to do with me. And it's such a blessing that I have no obligation anymore. I've done everything I can to try to help them. When money became an issue, like a knife, seeing the raw form of Maya face to face. To become a Kinchana Gochara. Resolute determination comes from a Kinchana Gochara. And if we're not there, then we have to hear about it and continue to pray. And with real heart and soul pray. And with those feelings, Krishna will help us. But with feeling, whatever level we find ourselves on, to move forward, it doesn't matter. Krishna can, the Mahaprabhu's mercy, for anybody who takes shelter, who actually takes shelter. And then you'll have the strength to continue to the journey every day. Keep yourself spiritually fit. Continue to battle with the mind and senses. With Krishna driving, with intelligence connecting to the soul and Krishna. It's the intelligence that's next to the soul. And then to direct the mind and senses with superior intelligence coming from Prabhupada, Krishna. And then we can take charge. Fixed in knowledge. Krishna says, those are most dear to me. Anyone who turns to me is very dear to me. With material distress, material need, for material facility or material distress, or you're searching out the truth, kind of curious to check it out, or you're in knowledge. But those who are in knowledge, they're most dear because they won't be motivated for some comfort zone. They won't fall away. They'll take full shelter every day to keep Krishna and Arjuna driving our chariot. Prabhupada on that chariot. And that's how we get him with Shiksha. And then we can hook up with the Diksha Shiksha, who hooks us up with the Parampara, with Prabhupada. And we can become Parampara. Every day, hearing and speaking same and acting. Continuing the struggle. No pain, no gain. When you're taking heavy cancer treatment. But this is the treatment by which we can completely, every cell can be completely spiritualized. Like, where is chanting Hare Krishna and our body, like Dhruva Maharaj got on the chariot of the Vimana and went home back to Godhead. His very body became transformed. Same with the Pandavas. They left with the same bodies. Spirit completely, it became their spiritual body. Because that was their mood, their rasa with Krishna. So, I think that one purport, I think we can, I mean, it would be pretty. I don't know if you have 5 more minutes, we can read the next purport. Dishya tvayanu shishtoham kritaschanu grohomaham apavitai karma randra jushta dishya shatir gira. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. I have fortunately been instructed by you, and thus great favor has been bestowed upon me. I thank God that I have listened with open ears to your pure words. That's hearing. Open ears. Attentive hearing. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Rupa Goswami has given directions in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu on how to accept a bona fide spiritual master and how to deal with him. First, the desiring candidate must find a bona fide spiritual master, and then he must eagerly receive instructions from him and execute them. And Gaur Govinda Maharaj, a very empowered expansion of Srila Prabhupada in disciplic succession, completely empowered. How this, to directly receive instructions and execute them. Personal, direct. How we seek that out with great determination and eagerness. Tadvidi pranipatena priprashena sevya patekshantite gyanam gyanina tattvadarshina. By submissive inquiry and rendering personal direct service. I mean, I'm doing that now with Prabhupada. But when he's physically present, to directly seek that out, I didn't understand that. We didn't understand that, actually, when Prabhupada was physically present. We thought we could do it just through letter. But some of them were very eager, and they did seek that out. And you can read about it in the biographies. I was too contaminated. I had to get purified. Next life. Next when I'll be, I hope to be better. And I can get direct association. I did for a few days in Paris and in the Numayapur farm in 76. But it was like Narada Muni, when you're not fully ready, or with Dhruva and also Mukunda Maharaj, then you won't see me again in this life. This is reciprocal service. A bona fide spiritual master, a saintly person, always desires to elevate a common man who comes to him. Because everyone is under the delusion of Maya and is forgetful of his prime duty, Krishna consciousness, a saintly person always desires that everyone become a saintly person. It is a function of a saintly person to invoke Krishna consciousness in every forgetful common man. Manu said that since he was advised and instructed by Kardama Muni, he was very much favored. He considered himself lucky to receive the message by oral reception. It is especially mentioned here that one should be very inquisitive to hear with open ears from the authorized source of the bona fide spiritual master. How is one to receive? One should receive the transcendental message by oral reception. The word karna run dry means through the holes of the ears. The favor of the spiritual master is not received through any other part of the body but the ears. That does not mean, however, that the spiritual master gives a particular type of mantra through the ears in exchange for some dollars. Too many temples are functioning for the dollars and not for giving the mercy, especially in the West. I know. And if a man meditates on that, he achieves perfection and becomes God within 6 months. Very nice. Such reception through the ears is bogus. The real fact is that a bona fide spiritual master knows the nature of a particular man and what sort of duties he can perform in Krishna consciousness. And he instructs him in that way. He instructs him through the ear, not privately, but publicly. You are fit for such and such work in Krishna consciousness. You can act in this way. One person is advised to act in Krishna consciousness by working in the deity's room. Another is advised to act in Krishna consciousness by performing editorial work. Another is advised to do preaching work. And another is advised to carry out Krishna consciousness in the cooking department. There are different departments of activity in Krishna consciousness. And a spiritual master, knowing the particular ability of a particular man, trains him in such a way that by his tendency to act, he becomes perfect. But Prabhupada also said that every devotee, no matter what their individual service is, that they must at least go out on book distribution at least once a week, or at least daily, at least one book for 1 hour or half an hour, or at least during the week. Even a president or a pujari, how you can arrange your schedules so that he can be relieved for that day and someone can fill his service for the day. How we organize, that's the way it was when I joined. It's not like that now. I don't know of any other temple that is operating like that today. But that's how it was when Prabhupada was present. And most of the devotees were on Sankirtan. That's how this movement was developed and established. It's only after his disappearance that things have become watered down. And a few devotees are reviving, and in Atlanta, they're not even able to register in ISKCON, in Krishna Life. A team under Bhakti Vikash Maharaj's team, Mahotsaha, from Tamil Nadu, and Vishnu Chita from Tamil Nadu, and Mahotsaha from Andhra, I think. Well, 4,000 Mahabig books in one day. giving 7 at it. Really, Prabhu. Maharatis, and this team of really wonderful brahmacharis. I never experienced such simple, sincere, fixed up devotees. All is like working together. So powerful. More, you could say, than even Padayatra, and they're like that. And I get that with them. I'm not able to move like they are. Especially how, hey bro, into spirituality, yoga? Here, we got something for you. Boom. And they got it, and they just put it right in their hand. And they do it like for $50, which is not so much for 7 big hardcover books. It would cost about $200 if you went in a bookstore. And they're like giving it at practically cost price. Maybe even a little less. You get the books out. With faith in the process. And how people are, and women are wearing saris. Even in America, where there's so much issues. It's like Gopal Krishnamar with the Bureau. They had a meeting about the issue of the Madhajis giving initiation, whether it's bona fide. It's so obvious. I mean, it's there in the Shastras. But how we're so much, the role that each one of us has to play, and not in changing the Vedic culture, just because it facilitates the Western conditioning that we're born with, to adjust the Shastras, and about the real nature of a person and how we can execute our service. Huh? As Prabhupada stating here, we have to be fixed in parampara, hearing and executing, instead of arranging things according to our own idea. And then again having to come back again and again. Bhagavad Gita makes it clear that one can attain the highest perfection of spiritual life simply by offering service according to his ability. Just as Arjuna served Krishna by his ability in the military art. Arjuna offered his service fully as a military man, and he became perfect. Similarly, an artist can attain perfection simply by performing artistic work under the direction of the spiritual master. If one is a literary man, he can write articles and poetry for the service of the Lord under the direction of the spiritual master. I even wrote a song. The way of the pilgrim, the way of the sage, moving on, moving on, moving on. Courage of a tiger, heart of a deer, learning to love the Lord and his children without fear. Who am I? Where am I? Where have I been? Where do I really want to go? The way of the pilgrim, the way of the sage, moving on, moving on, moving on. Padayatra. But each of us have our own journey, you know. Each one of us has our own journey to get our own act together this time around. Krishna, with Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, and intelligence, and consulting if we have some doubt in what's happening, then we can go. If we can't get satisfied with our temple authority in the temple, then you can go to somebody. That's the system. Always to take shelter of superior authority and to move forward with Guru and within the Lord in the heart, but not just with. You have to have it confirmed with Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. And this is the way we stay protected and guided. One has to receive the message of the spiritual master regarding how to act in one's capacity, for the spiritual master is expert in giving such instructions. This combination, the instruction of the spiritual master and the faithful execution of the instruction by the disciple, makes the entire process perfect. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes in his explanation of the verse in Bhagavad Gita, Vyavasayatmika buddhi, fixed. We have to keep Krishna, always keep the mind back. Mind's like, no, come on, hey Krishna, come on. We're going, you cut my throat so many lifetimes. Now, this time, Prabhupada loves me. Krishna loves me. We're becoming devotees. We're becoming devotees this life. That's in our real interest. That one who wants to be certain to achieve spiritual success must take the instruction from the spiritual master as to what his particular function is. He should faithfully try to execute that particular instruction and consider that as his life and soul. The faithful execution of the instruction which he receives from the spiritual master is the only duty of a disciple, and that will bring him perfection. One should be very careful to receive the message from the spiritual master through the ears and execute it faithfully. That will make one's life successful. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. I don't know. It's almost 9:45. You kind of, I never seen such a enthusiastic audience. I think you're following in the footsteps of the sages of Naimisharanya, who are hearing for 1,000 years. At least 7 days and 7 nights, like they did with Parikshit Maharaj and Chukadev Goswami. Very nice. Very nice. Anybody have any comment or question? Anything? Anything? Anyone?
That's correct. Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much for sharing your realization and experience in Krishna consciousness. In between you mentioned that yes, there were obstacles on your path also. But what was that thing you applied and you continued through the process of Krishna consciousness?
I wouldn't want to wish.
Sorry?
I wouldn't want to wish the stuff I had to deal with on Stalin. But for me, it was required. Stubborn, to get smashed again and again. To keep going. Because I have nobody else. I have nowhere else to go. I've come too far. I see what it is and I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore. I have to keep going. I can't go back. I know what it is. I can't do it. I refuse. I refuse. I refuse. Even if I don't do anything, I refuse to act under those. I refuse. I just do nothing and just take shelter of the holy name and pray and take shelter of the holy name and Krishna and Bhagavatam and sit down and hear at least an hour and chant. If you see that my rounds get chanted, and then I can think about what to do and not consider those other insane the mind. To never trust the mind. To be scared to death of the mind. Drag you down in the quicksand, drag you down. To staying on to Prabhupada's lotus feet. He said, you hang on to my dhoti and I'll drag you back home, back to Godhead. Hang on for dear life. Hang on. Oh, we're still standing. If not, at least sitting. Oh, anything else?
Harish, thank you Ji for sharing so many realization of so many years in one go with us. Thank you for mercy, Prabhuji. You were in Paris with Srila Prabhupada. Can you share some mercy of Prabhupada you received or some essay you could feel some personal like Prabhupada?
Yes, by reading Lilamrita and hearing the books, Prabhupada's in every word, every page. And if that's our purpose, then the means by which we can achieve our purpose. This is the means, it's the goal and it's the end. The process and the goal is the same. If we have faith at Prabhupada, the only one who could save me. Bhaktisiddhanta, I couldn't. Rupa Goswami, too fallen. But Prabhupada was sent as their representative, by which we could access them through him. At his feet. Always staying at his feet. Only then we can access the Acharyas and Krishna and Mahaprabhu. And then we can access also his representative who's directly connecting us in the disciplic succession, with Prabhupada as the founder Acharya. In his books, his followers, I live forever in my books, and my followers live with me, and that will be the basis for the parampara in each succeeding generation. And that's how we stay, with Prabhupada in the center, as the Shiksha Guru for all the ISKCON. Though anybody who comes in touch with ISKCON is connecting with Prabhupada. Like Kakamba Kanana Maharaj. As I'm realizing, as I'm speaking, is it? I was with him in the room the day before the Experience Day. And he was absorbed in reading Satsvarup Maharaj's poetry of the biography. And he was so much absorbed. And for an hour and a half to prepare for the next day, disappearance of Prabhupada, it would bring tears to my eyes in separation from Prabhupada. So much he was invoking Prabhupada's presence. What kind of a disciple Jayadvaita Maharaj has in him? Why, I forgot that he was his disciple. And I was asking him to remember me wherever you go, to remember me while I'm still down here struggling. Don't forget me. because he's already there on the other side with Prabhupada. And with those who are with him, like Jayadvaita Maharaj. And I asked actually Jayadvaita Maharaj for shiksha. Because one devotee who knows something about astrology was telling me I should take I should take sannyas because I have some renunciation. But I'm attached to be staying brahmachari. And so I went to, he was giving some like Ishtagosti in the second floor of the guest house, in the conference hall, and after it was over, I went up to Maharaj and I asked him if I could, because the day before I had gone to him asking, what about me not taking, that certain devotees are telling me, but I'm attached to the ashram. I like keeping it simple as a brahmachari, and how I can interact with other devotees is not with a danda and kind of formality. I can just, a simple brahmachari, you know, it's like Vrindavan mood more. You know, I can just, friendship together, you know, without that formality that comes with a danda or some position. And so, he told me, you're perfectly situated in your ashram. Swarup Damodar, you know, Goswami, or, you know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's most confidential associate, he remained brahmachari. Swarup Damodar Maharaj. And also Nisringananda, brahmachari. He paved the road for Mahaprabhu. He wasn't some sannyasi. He was a brahmachari. Nisringananda paved the road for Mahaprabhu. Kanai Nashala? Yeah, and then he went. I've been there also with Padayatra. And very, very, very nice temple that we have there. So yeah, and so he said, you stay brahmachari. So that kind of confirmed. Even Satsvarup Maharaj, when I was a young brahmachari, and we were selling candles, and I got in the top 10 to save Gita Nagari from being taken over by the mortgage and the bank. That we were able to go out selling paraphernalia, hand-carved candles and these Hong Kong paintings, and actually broke the back of the Sankirtan book distribution. We continued to do that in the West, and then book distribution no longer became the main activity after that. That's the history. But anyway, Satsvarup Maharaj, I got in the top 10. I really competed to get in the top 10. So he gives some special gift at the end of the marathon. 2 times I got in the top 10. And both times he gave me a sweatshirt, a saffron sweatshirt, his remnants. He was giving me books or something as an award. And he said, both times he said, like this sweatshirt is saffron, you should always stay in saffron. So I kind of accepted that like a saffron, like a sweatshirt danda, to say brahmachari. And it was very nice having Jayadvaita Maharaj confirm that for me, for my execution of my service as a simple brahmachari with Lokanath Swami assisting him on Padayatra, and for my service to Prabhupada, assisting him on the Padayatra party, And with Jai, the next day I asked Jayadvaita Maharaj if he could accept me in the mood of a shiksha, because I felt him enter my heart. That I could get correct encouragement from him and guidance. So it's how the family that I've been able to, that Krishna has given me, and Prabhupada Kapacha, Krishna's Kapacha, to realize my position as Krishna Kapacha at the feet of Srila Prabhupada, and those who are with him at their feet together, Das, Anudas, as a Sankirtan soldier, and especially now, but not just in the marathon, that we carry the ball of that experience every day of our life till our last breath and beyond. Victory with Krishna and Arjuna Prabhupada. And it's through Kurukshetra Krishna, through the Vaidhi Bhakti, executing our duties like this, that we'll get to Raganuga, and to get to Nishta, Trinadapi Sinichina, Toropi Sishna, Manina, Manidena, Kirtana, become offer all respect to others. That's how we can practice getting to Nishta and Sankirtan. To become a friend to all living beings, like we're seeing in the purport. To become like that, we become like what we think most about. And practice makes perfect. We continue. And make this not just the journey home, but the final journey home. This life. The epic quest to approach the Lord face to face, following the footsteps of Gopal Kumar. If anybody knows something about Brihad Bhagavatamrit, to go more and more. We still haven't made it. We have to go more and more. Continue chanting, going, until our attachment to Krishna is so intense that we like this, you're here, we're home. Just keep going.
Thank you, Ji. Thank you. Really grateful. So
Just keep
much.
going.
Really.
Success, Krishna guarantees success for the sincere practitioner who's steady. Steady. Krishna guarantees success. Who's Chaitas Savkamini Mahisanyasya Mapara Buriyugama Bhashitya Machita Sadramava. In all activities, just depend upon me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. And like that, Mamana Bhavamad Bhakto Madhyaji Mam Namaskaru Mame Vaishasi Satyang Te Pratijane Priyosi Me. Always think of me and become my devotee. Always. Hamesha. Hamesha. I'm Hindi. Hamesha. Always think of me and become my devotee. Worship me and offer your homage to me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. Krishna is always the friend of every living being, conditioned or pure, liberated or nityabhata. He's the friend of everyone. And everything is happening is just for ultimately achieving our going back home back with Him. And especially when we're hooked up with His pure representative, the inconceivable opportunity that we have now, Abhi. Every moment, now, not next year, now. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. No! That's not Draupadi. Krishna will not come if we go on chanting like that. We'll come back. Like Kagamba Kanana Maharaj when he's chanting. Like Jayapataka Maharaj when he goes, Radhe! Radhe! Shyam!
Thank you so much. It was so great.
You just have to hear means act. Like a child crying for the mother. Anything less is just listening. Hearing means accepting. What did Prabhupada say? How we chant? Huh? Anybody? You need to practice also. Because even when everybody else is doing it, you weren't. But that means every day, every moment, we should remember these things. And if that's the quality of our service, whether we're cleaning pots, or the floor, that Pakka, to please, as if Gopal Krishna Maharaj was coming here, Prabhupada coming here, that he is here, and that you're conscious, that you do everything, that he is here, he is with me. And you, whatever we do for his pleasure. That is Krishna consciousness. With everything we do. Prabhupada said like that in a letter to Jayapataka Maharaj. And he was thanking him for actually understanding the point. Thoracha, Dhanyavad. All glories, all glories, all glories. Thank you very much. Das, 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 Anudas. Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you.